Welcome to a discussion with the Board Game Critic. So this is a new segment that I'm trying out. If you like it, please comment below. If you don't like it, please, it's even more important that you comment below. And if you feel so inclined, which I hope you do, please like and subscribe. What I'm doing here is I'm talking about games that just missed the mark. Something went wrong, and although it has good components, good artwork, and a lot of good things about it, we're gonna dive into where it went wrong. As a professional game designer, I've been involved in a lot of these processes and a lot of these postmortems, and it's important that we understand where games went wrong. It'll help us as consumers recognize a game that may not be worth our time or money, but it'll also help us as designers learn what pitfalls we need to avoid. Oh, let's talk about King of New York. Let's go through the timeline really quick on what happened with King of New York. King of Tokyo comes out, King of Tokyo does well. It's endearing, the theme is on point, it's simple, the mechanics are dialed in really nicely to where it's just a pretty buttery gameplay, where it just it's smooth, it just flows right through it. King of New York is a sequel. That was mistake number one, being a sequel instead of an expansion. What likely happened next was the designers got together, or the designer, and pitched what is King of New York. It makes sense. New York also gets terrorized by monsters. Overall, there's a lot of good points to make it about New York. However, theme took over. That is mistake number two. Mistake number two, theme got too involved. We start making gameplay decisions based on what makes sense with the theme. Huge mistake, and it's very easy to fall into. Theme and gameplay need to come together in a really seamless union. When this doesn't happen, we get games that feel kind of like Frankenstein. If you can think of a game that the theme kind of took over and derailed the gameplay, please comment below and I'll do a segment on it. What got added into King of Tokyo? So in King of Tokyo, instead of having Tokyo and the Bay, where you have all the other monsters waiting and the monster that's in Tokyo doing destruction, now you have all of the boroughs of New York. And it's similar in the sense that the monster in Manhattan is there and the other monsters are kind of trying to kick them out of Manhattan. However, there are other things to do in the boroughs. There are buildings, and when you knock down a building, it turns into emergency responders who then deal you damage. And so a lot of times being outside of Manhattan can actually cause you more damage from being inside Manhattan. And other players are spending their actions doing things not focused on the monster that's in Manhattan. At the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, what is King of New York? I think the third and most important mistake is that King of New York just lost track of what it was trying to do. You need to step back and ask yourself when you're designing a game, you need to ask, what is the end purpose of this game? What is the feeling we're trying to drive home? What is the experience that we're trying to get to the table for these players? King of New York misses it on multiple levels. King of Tokyo hit it home perfectly. You had these two pathways. You could go for victory points, or you could just go for slaughter and just knock out all of the other players. Those were kind of your two options, and they played off of each other beautifully. One, because if you got the claws, you were kind of forced to just attack the other player. It was just something that you had to lean into. It forced them to jump out. All of these mechanics supported each other beautifully. Now, what we have in King of New York is the mechanics fight each other. No pun intended. You have the emergency responders outside who are attacking the monsters, who then just have to keep healing, which means the monster in Manhattan gets an extra advantage of just having the other players distracted. Before, where the gameplay was balanced and seamless and everything was just kind of supported by this overall and simple idea of one against the rest, and then you swap out and the tides change. That's subverted, and all of a sudden it becomes just this messy gameplay of not really knowing what you should be doing at any given time, because you're being attacked from the emergency responders. You roll a building, so you kind of think like, yeah, well, maybe I should attack that building, but then it starts attacking you back. It's muddled. The three places it went wrong: King of New York probably should have been an expansion, not a sequel. The sequel did not change enough to be a different experience. All it did was ruin the first experience. Second, I think the theme ran away with the gameplay. It made sense to be breaking down buildings. It made sense to have emergency responders. And you get so wrapped up in that theme that all of a sudden the gameplay becomes secondary, which is always dangerous. We're there for the gameplay. The theme is important, yes, but when one becomes stronger than the other, let it be the gameplay. Don't make it the theme. Then third, the gameplay got muddled. It's no longer a clear, nice experience of what you're supposed to be doing, but these mechanics, instead of nicely supporting each other, they start butting heads, and they just don't work well together anymore. So King of Tokyo, we have a well-oiled machine of rules that support and react to each other nicely. King of New York, they fight against each other. Please, if you agree or disagree, comment below. Let me know what you thought. Do you want to hear others? Are there games that you felt like were clear misses that you want to see dug into? Please let me know, and I'll see what I can do. In the meantime, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next What Went Wrong.